Monument Valley 2 was the latest game from developer Us2. A surprise announcement at Apple's WWDC event early this month, Monument Valley 2 is a natural evolution of the original game. While it is not a perfect game, it does take what is great about the first and adds in some interesting storytelling and gorgeous new mechanics. You know, if I'm speaking honestly, I got done playing Monument Valley 2 and I had a hard time finding much of a difference from the original. Sure, it was pretty and it had more than one moment that made me well up, but I couldn't just pick out very many big changes. I know that there's a second protagonist and there's more concrete story, but it just didn't seem like a worthwhile upgrade. Then I went back and played the original. It's been 3 years since the original Monument Valley released, and that made my memory of it a little foggy. I remembered it had an MC Escher style, perspective platforming design. I remember the main character named Ida and these blackbird people. I also remembered there's this cool level that you had this box that you'd open multiple ways and you'd solve the puzzles within it. But other than that, my memories of the game were limited at best. Monument Valley was supposed to be this killer app for the iPad. Everyone talked about it. This was the game that would make the iPad worthwhile. This is a big deal. But how could something so monumental be so forgettable? And forgive my pun. But as it would turn out, aside from being a very cool concept, Monument Valley didn't do much. It had a half-baked story, a muted color scheme, and honestly pretty easy puzzle solving. Once I discovered that, though, my appreciation for Monument Valley 2 grew quickly. Now, that isn't to say that it's crucial to play the first game. You don't have to play it right now in order to love Monument Valley 2. I thought it was great by itself. But after playing through the original again, I found I loved what it does even more. The new game is unbelievably beautiful. There's this huge wide range of colors. The tone of the game changes from scene to scene. They do so many good things with how the story is designed. The story, it's not super big, but it has so much emotion in it. Plus, I feel like the game is extremely well paced. The first one had 10 levels, and I felt like it was super easy up to the very last one, and it got pretty difficult, but still not too difficult. This one's paced really well. The story progresses through it, the difficulty progresses well through it. It's just very, very well done. But I want to talk about a little bit of the specifics. I want to talk about the aesthetics and the story. The aesthetics are just absolutely gorgeous. It has a ton of personality. The color schemes are vibrant, and it really that all gives the story, gives the game a sense of grounding. Seeing the reds and oranges pop up the screen, it made the whole thing feel like it was set in a modern era. Where the original, and I think that this is the intent, felt like an actual MC Escher drawing. It felt like with the color scheme, the way it was designed, it felt like it was on parchment. Where this one feels like it was set in today's time. I appreciate what they did, but I think I'll take vibrancy over source material replication any day. Now I can see the story of Monument Valley 2 being polarized. The plot is essentially a coming-of-age tale. A mother lets her daughter go out on her own to face the obstacles of life and emerge the adult she's destined to be. Heard it before? Yeah, probably. But the big change in the way the story's told is how it's told. It's not done through dialogue. Sure, there's this ghostly figure that you meet at the end of certain levels that kind of gives you the only text in the game, but that's not where the story comes from. The story is in these moment-to-moment interactions between Ro and her daughter. There's a scene in the beginning where they're walking along and the entire world just starts to fall apart underneath them. And as it goes along and they're split up, that's the first time in the game that they aren't together. You can see the panic on this little tiny animated character. They have no facial expressions, they have no face at all, but you can see this raw emotion, this real panic from the daughter and mother. They're not together. The daughter starts running, she trips and falls and slides on the ground, she gets back up and she runs around, and they're trying to find a way back to each other. And then one of the special things about it is when you finally do, their embrace feels just some of the most genuine emotion that I've seen in any video game, I think, ever. Sure, the story is not super well fleshed out. It's not a difficult story. It's not a story that's pushing boundaries, but the way it's told is done really, really well. The mechanics are largely the same. You have the same puzzle platforming that you had in the original. You change the perspective of the world so you can make things appear. You make paths appear that weren't there before. You can avoid certain situations. They have the twisting mechanic from the Forgotten Shores DLC. They have Totem is back, which is cool. And there's a really neat environmental puzzle that I'm not going to spoil. It's a really cool moment, and I think everybody should go and play through it because that's one of the most special moments in the game. It's also the turning point of the game, so I just highly recommend you go play through it. It's like an hour and a half of your time. Just play it. I think overall, Monument Valley 2 is a worthwhile update from the original. It's better looking with a few more mechanics, and is paired with an emotional story. It's told very well. By itself, the game is good. Very good, even. But my biggest complaint of the whole thing, I know I've talked pretty positively about it, the reason why I think it's great is because I have the original fresh in my mind. And I fully understand that not everybody is going to have that. And I'm not going to tell you to go out and play the original so you can get enjoyment out of this game. But if you do, I think you'll appreciate it even more.